To the Cam Otis Show. We're a father-son business podcast where we talk with other lifelong learners about making an impact and solving big problems. And today we got the master of big problems, sometimes the big problem solver, but a master of the big problems, my good friend Matthew Hexter. How you doing, Matthew?
Good, good. Hey, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And as I mentioned in the green room, I've gotten in the flow of my show pre-setups, and it starts happening about the time I wake up that day. And this morning I've been thinking all day. Yeah. Well, it's a pretty long day since as early as I get up. Let me just say that. That old Army commercial, we do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day. Well, yeah, that's true. But back to the story. I have always wondered, and I've known you for quite a while now, but I don't think I've ever asked you this. What the heck happened? How the heck did you go from methodical project management kind of engineer, very, very low risk, to, hey, family, guess what? Throw it all out the window. I'm going to start a winery, and we'll get to the Lemon Lodge here in a little bit. What? Dude, what the heck?
Well, I worked some big gigs as a project manager, program manager, managed some global programs with Rolls-Royce, Hewlett-Packard, Procter & Gamble, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, for me, it was like digging ditches. I was really good at it. I made a lot of money, and the offers kept coming. And after a while, you're like, wow, how do I give this up? We've got the new lifestyle, the newer car, you name it, right, Otis? And I just came to a point where I kind of had a come to Jesus moment. Like, is this the life I want to continue to live? Will I be living with any regrets? And I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial bent. I've always had a side hustle going on, and I've always kind of hoped that side hustle would replace the ditch digging, right? And so I just decided I'm going to stock away cash so I have enough runway to try something. And, back in 2017, that's when we tried Evergood, and the rest is history.
How much of an advantage do you think you had with your project management background, program management background, stepping into the entrepreneur world? Like, what kind of advantages do you think you brought?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I was, so I'm a PMP, a Scrum Master. So I used all of those tools to basically whiteboard and flow out my entire roadmap. And I think some people don't know that, right? The beginning's really fun, and then you get in the messy middle, and that's where a lot of people lose their way. But in project management, we already have a roadmap for the messy middle. We've already done contingency planning, risk mitigation. So I just used those skills to help me navigate that. So I think it helped a lot, Camden.
So when you hit those, really, I'm going to take a step back on that, because that's such a good point. It's a point I make with a lot of the veterans I work with. Is just because you're going into something new doesn't mean you throw out all the skills that you had. So the fact that you stepped into this entrepreneur space as a project manager and looked at the new business, the winery, Evergood, as a project. And that's I think, matter of fact, I'm going to stay on that, because I think a lot of people screw that up. I really do. And there's a lot of failed businesses out there because the individual thinks that what they know doesn't work anymore. And how did you said you used the project management technique, but was it where did it come from? I guess that's what I'm getting at, is because, like I said, most people, when they say, okay, I'm done, I'm no longer a program manager, my military guys, they say I'm no longer in the Army, and they're thank you very much. I'm out. That stuff was great. It's like a book on my shelf. If I need it, I'll go back sometime and look at it instead of using it continuing forward. How did you kind of hold on to that and continue forward with it?
Well, part of it is I think as we get older, we want to be responsible and we want to be good stewards, and when I went to my wife and I said, let's cash out the 401k, I understood what that ask was, and my wife understood what that ask was. So I felt the obligation and the responsibility, in caring for my family and protecting our future to map all of that out, right? So I built a Scrum board, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're doing, here's what we're done. I prioritized it all. I did my work breakdown structure. I did my activity network diagram, all of that, because I really needed to make sure, as much as was within my power, I was giving us the best chance for success. And the next thing, Otis, was I started reading a lot of entrepreneurs, both their stories as well as the processes they followed. And there's a guy out of MIT called, I think it's William Alt. He wrote a book called Disciplined Entrepreneurship. So I actually took that course. He studied not just 100, not just 1,000, tens of thousands of successful startups. And he came up with 24 keys of why they were successful. So I felt the obligation to take that course, and then I actually showed that course to my entire family. I made them sit down and watch the thing so we could talk about it, right? Almost like a BS test, right? Am I just blowing smoke or not? Yeah.
So I can see how the courses, doing a lot of reading on entrepreneurship can help you with this. But, as we're kind of, praising the project management brain a little bit there, I kind of want to play devil's advocate. What kind of things do you think you were blind to because you were coming from that perspective?
Well,
maybe that first big surprise.
Yeah, well, I think being okay with pivoting quickly without having all of the facts or without having all of the information, right? Here's the big thing, Camden. Done is better than perfect, right? Done is better than perfect. And so we were slow to market and slow to pivot on a number of things. I read Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership, and I'm like, okay, the buck stops with me. I got to own this puppy. So we're just going to get her done, and we're going to throw her out, and we're going to see what happens. And we're going to fail fast, and we're going to fail small. Yeah. So that's what I had to learn, Camden. Because in project management, especially managing these multi-million-dollar global programs, and all we do is spend most of it's risk mitigation. And so you become risk averse, and you begin thinking like that. And I was like, okay, I got to undo that a little bit and just to chill out a little bit, man.
Yeah, I love that you said the failures are small, because that's a big piece of that. Is so many people think that it's like the fail forward, fail often, fail quickly, all those kind of things. But then the problem is if you get into that mindset, and what people forget so much is that those failures aren't fatal. I think we've talked about that before, Dad, but it's how small those really are in the grand scheme of things. It feels like it's your whole world because it's all you're freaking thinking about all the time, but it's still really small in the grand scheme of things. And I think that's such an important distinction there, because you should be comfortable with those failures. You still don't want them. You still want to work to not have those failures, but you should be comfortable knowing that they're going to be small in the grand scheme of things. I love that.
Yeah. And what I do is I create a matrix, and my matrix used to it used to have 3 columns. One was crawl, then walk, then run. And then I went back to 4 columns: scoot, crawl, walk, run. And then, let's say I want to come out with a new product, right? Or I want to enter a new market or a new industry, right? What does a scoot look like? Time frame, cost, outcomes, those sorts of things. And then I just kind of work my way. Right, and then I look at, like you said, Camden, what are the risks for each one, right? And what do I feel like is going to give me the best opportunity for success without taking on too much water on the ship, right? And then, sinking the boat.
Yeah, that's the fun part about it, right? When you start to take the risk, you start to, and truthfully, that the risk becomes very personal, because you alluded to that fact of still being able to take care of my family,
Right.
and when you're a project manager working for these big projects, these big corporations. I mean, there's a lot of similarities in that military space, right? The paycheck's going to be there at the end of the month. You got to screw up pretty bad to not get the paycheck once you get into that flow. So when you get into the risk management, you touched on this a little bit. How did you manage that risk? And again, you talked about bank account, taking care of the family, but it always gets tight and it starts squeezing. So how did you manage that risk, family man wise?
Yeah. So practically, instead of, living on 8 or 10,000 a month, it's, let's cut out everything, right? What's the lowest, how low can we go? Right? How low can we go? And I just start cutting everything out. Netflix, Sling, Spotify. Yeah, all that stuff's just got to go, right? Because what do I really want? Do I want some ease of life now, some comfort of life now, or am I willing to pay that cost? And there is a price to be paid. So, I want your audience to know that they really have to, consider that pretty hard. There is a price to be paid if you want to come out on the other side. And, the messy middle can really get messy. Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Because the next thought I always have in this development as the business grows is it's no longer Matthew, and Matthew and Melanie, and then it becomes Matthew, Melanie, and. How did you manage that, the ands, if you will, because folks that are listening on the radio, this is Otis, your DJ. I'll just describe Matthew is in the winery. Those of you who are watching us on the YouTube, you got a great view of Elf. Will Ferrell is Elf, and the winery.
Buddy the Elf. Come on, Dad.
Yeah, Buddy.
We watch it every year.
Thank you. But all the wine bubbling behind him, and I can tell you, having been there several times myself, that ain't something you just do all by yourself. It very quickly becomes who's part of my team. So as you grew into that, how did you manage that? Go from I'm accepting the risk. Okay, I'm accepting the risk for my family. Now I've got other people involved in the risk. Yeah.
Well, initially we think everything, revolves around us as the founder. My first wake-up call was when they wanted to take our wines. And, whenever you're ready for show and tell, I got everything. When they started taking our wines and making wine cocktails. And I thought, what are you doing? Like, how could you do that? Right? That's blasphemy. Blasphemy. Right?
How dare you?
I know, totally, yeah. So, until they said, well, here, try it. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. So, being able to let go and let it kind of grow legs of its own. I was making a delivery the other day, and I was pulling out some product for, one of our stores, and a lady got out of her car and said, oh my gosh, I love that stuff. We love that winery. She had no idea who I was, right? And I was like, this is really curious when that sort of thing starts happening. So to answer your question, Otis, I had to come early on to realize that I was only married to one person, and that's my wife. Everything else is fair game. So I just really have to kind of open my hands and just kind of let it go. including others who help, right? We have hundreds and hundreds of volunteers who come in to help us bottle and pouch. I've got a team that helps me run my canning line. We've got festival event teams. We've got winery tour teams. And I just at some point, have to document my vision, and we document our cultural values and all of that. And then we have to just kind of give it to them. Now we, as a good project manager, I like the Al Capone method of project management. You get a lot more done with a kind word and a gun than with a kind word alone. So, we do check, we check up, right? But I've learned to be a lot more gracious in that, and just gently, steer people in the direction we want them to go.
Speaking on that, keeping an eye on them, checking on them, that type of thing. One of the things that is the hardest thing as a business owner is when you're separated from your outcome. Some business models do it more than others. You bringing in those folks, you're separating yourself from that outcome another step. But then I think what's interesting there, and maybe I have this wrong, I am 3 states away, so I don't get as many, inside looks, but not all those folks are there every day. It's not like you've got this team of 40 hours a week bottlers who are the best damn bottlers this side of the Mississippi and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge. So how do you, one, manage with the stress of letting someone else handle that outcome, and then if you could also then speak on just the quality control aspects as well.
Yeah. Well, prior to being a project manager, I was a technical trainer, and so I had to teach adults how to use very technical equipment. So got a lot of training in teaching adult learners. So I just have to show them, so like when we get a new poucher come in, hey, gather around, here's how we do it. And here's some helpful tips. You want to see with your eyes, you want to hear with your ears, that sort of, you want to feel with your hands. And then I monitor a little bit just to coach them. And then I just let go, I turn on some really fun music. I become the bartender, because we highly encourage drinking on the job. I start asking them about questions about their lives. Hey, tell me about your kids. What do you do now? And and then I introduce people. Hey Otis, I think you'd really like to hear this story. That Camden just shared. I don't know. Camden. I wish that I don't know that there's an objective, quantitative way I can tell you that. But it is letting go. Now I still manage, the outcome, because some people don't pouch correctly, and then my wine gets everywhere, and and then I lose valuable product. But I don't get as uptight anymore, right? It's that whole, kind of letting go, kind of open hands, and I feel that, at least in my industry, that gets me a lot farther than just being a micromanager.
Well, that raises.
Go ahead, Cam.
We might be on the same page on this one. I have a feeling. But what I want to get to is you said something really interesting there about the drinking on the job, and that is this culture that people picture, because that is a lot of people want to get business with their friends and they love that time. And if you can do it right, that is the best. Yep. Introducing alcohol into the environment, those type of things. Again, if you could do it right, hey, it's the best. But then you're going to run into those problems also we can all think of a bunch of different possible negative outcomes from that. How do you manage that to where you're getting the positives without any of those negatives?
Well, and I apologize, my coffee went down the wrong pipe. So I'm a TIPS certified trainer. TIPS is a national program that looks for behavioral indicators for people who are overserved, right? I can't tell you you're drunk, but I can say you are showing and displaying behavioral indicators. So I know how much I'm serving, so I never overpour.
Yeah.
Right. We have plenty of snacks here, and I do have a breathalyzer as well for anybody who wants to use it. I actually do that for myself. Because I absolutely cannot risk any DUI, and I have a very comfortable couch in case I blow over. So,
yep.
Yes, I think I kind of lost my train here, Camden. Can you guide and direct me a little bit with what you're looking for?
No, you answered it pretty well. Those are a few very clear
Okay.
methods for managing that, and that's exactly what I was looking for. Because it's one where it's like, yeah, just leaving the bottle on the counter. Yeah, it sounds fun, but I could see some negative outcomes,
Well,
and you
and
mitigated
our
those.
ABVs are a lot lower, so it's not like you're taking shots of whiskey,
Yeah,
right? So I'm giving
That's true.
you
That's
like 1 ounce
good
or
point.
2 ounces, between 8.6 and 10%. Plus I've got a lot of bottled waters, and I'm just watching people. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's why the first purchase of furniture in the winery was the couch. So
And a very comfortable couch.
it is a comfy couch.
is.
I have not slept on it, but I've sat on it many times. So I will validate that, folks. Now, Cameron, you were way off. I wasn't anywhere near that.
Oh,
Because-
damn, my bad.
Because here, I happen to have insider information about big problems, and I know of two extremely heavy problems that you've had to deal with, and I'll let you pick one of them, and how you overcame that problem, because they were, I mean, at the edge of this ain't going no more. I'm going to get a job, sort of thing. Sell the big plastic jugs, honey. That sort of thing. So I'll let you pick one because I like you. I'll let you pick one of them and tell us how, give us a little bit of background, but how did you bounce back out of that?
Sure. So, yeah, I actually, just in full disclosure, I was working part-time for a defense contractor for a little while we started, pulling in good money just to make sure I wasn't a burden on the company. And so in fall of 2021, again, I stockpiled about 6 months runway worth of cash and gave my notice to the defense contractor because we were getting ready to launch cans. And cans were our savior, right? They were going to be the golden goose. Everybody wanted cans. Can I go grab a can? Let me grab a can.
Yeah, sure. Go grab it. Can grab pause, Camden. Oh, that wasn't that long. Oh.
Thanks, guys.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. So we had these cans, these 250 milliliter cans that we were going into. Skier P is our signature lemon wine, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, cans, single serve. This will be great." And so I dropped
Hey,
the.
by the way, I bought into that too. I was right there with you.
Yeah.
Like, go.
Yeah. So I dropped the wad, guys. I bought a $100,000 canning line with a nitro doser. Dropped about 30K in cans. We started canning a year ago, January, and everything went great. And we were like, oh my gosh, we're going to can this like crazy. So we canned thousands and thousands and thousands of cans. We got so many pre-orders. We were selling like crazy. And then the big problem hit. Because our wines have low pH, meaning they're highly acidic, the can liner negatively reacted with our wines and created sulfur dioxide, which smells and tastes like rotten eggs. I started getting these emails from fans saying, "Man, what is going on? I have your bottles, your product's great, but something's up with these cans. It's nasty." And so, at the end of the day, Otis, I had over 22,000 cans that I had to recall and go out and start swapping back to bottles. Fortunately, I had invested in a lot of bottles previously for our festivals, and start taking back all of this stuff. I had to contact Ball Laboratories because they're here in Colorado. Help me out. What's going on? And they confirmed, yes, that was good. We knew that was inevitable, and I was like, really? And you couldn't have told me, right? Because I had a lot of time to figure this out. So I was pissed. Not only was I pissed, but I was taking back product and giving away free product. And now all of a sudden, I have people. So they try a bottle for $10, they may not. But this is, at the counter, and it's just a couple bucks. Oh, okay, sure, I'll give it a try. And they try it and they go, oh my gosh, this really does taste like pee, right? Or even worse, right? Like pee when I've just had a lot of asparagus. This is nasty. Yeah, totally. So, oh my gosh, yeah, Otis. Yeah, I mean that put us underwater so fast. We tried to sell our way out of it. At festivals, for whatever reason, festivals last year, I don't know why. Early signs of recession, people didn't buy as much. The good news is that we were able to sell our way out of it, with our heart warmer, which is our mulled cranberry lemon wine, which that's a whole story in itself, which is just awesome. We had some big sales to California, which were great, and then we crushed it here, in Colorado. So, we met my revenue target, but not my profitability target, because I had so much bad debt with the cans. Not I would say bad debt, but we had to write it against the books as bad product. So that was a hard hit, Otis. How did we get out of it? So I ceased selling cans. I had my team go out and try to replace as many as we could. And here's what's crazy. Oh my gosh. So in January and February, I was telling my team, hey, pull out all the bottles. Pull all the bottles off the shelf, because we're going to replace them with cans. And then we replace them with cans, and I'm like, crap, replace them with bottles. Oh my gosh. So I was like, I got to make this work. I have like 30,000, no, how many did I have? 60,000 cans. What do I do? So fortunately, we had a super fan who worked in a food laboratory in Denver. I took him all my stuff, and I said, you got to help me figure this out, man. And we were able to figure out a way to raise our pH. So our pH is like 2.4, 2.5, which means it's highly acidic. We were able to find a way to raise it to about 3.5, 3.6, which keeps it from reacting with the can liner. And in fact, what's crazy is it actually creates a smoother, silkier taste, which a lot of people find appealing, because now they're like, okay, I can get the original bottles that are really tart, or I can get a can and wow, it's actually a little creamier. It's got a creamier mouthfeel. So we were able to figure it out, Otis, but there was a lot of reputation damage in the market. And I can't say that we've fully recovered. Citrus Stomp has our lowest pH, that's our grapefruit. And we have some customers that absolutely refuse to buy Citrus Stomp, even though I've said, we figured it out. And I give them free cans. I'm like, here, try it. It's good now, right? There you go. That's a big problem, right? Because we trust others in our industry, right? And it was required for me to have Ball test these, and they approved all of them. And we'll just let you guys know that there is other stuff happening between Evergood and Ball right now, trying to ask Ball to make that right.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Cam Otis Show. If you're enjoying this conversation, then make sure to share it with other lifelong learners in your life so they can enjoy it too. Stay up to date with the show on Facebook and Instagram at Cam Otis Show, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube so you're the first to hear about new episodes and other special content. Now let's get back to the show.
Well, we are very familiar with the David and Goliath scenario with our friend RT at Vortic Watches. Similar situation, different elements, but small business going against the big. Yes, Buddy did fall down. He
did. Yeah, my fans turned on, so they blew Buddy down. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I thought he just fainted because he was reliving that story and how hard it was. But I want to grab onto that, and just emphasize a couple of points for folks to understand, because you found opportunity in that crisis. And the way you found it was, it's not all over, folks. Here's what we can do. Let's modify this. Let's change that, because you didn't go into panic mode. And I think that's a very important skill that we all have to realize. Yes, it's bad. I'm pissed. But if I stop and pause, I might see some ways of making it better and fixing it.
Yeah.
I mean, to find a super fan who said, well, here, why don't we try this? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he was a chemist actually working at a food lab in Denver. Absolutely. Yeah. Part of it too, Otis, is I owned it. I sent an email out to my email list of about 8,000 people and told them, guys, this is the deal, right? We didn't see it coming. We got whacked on the side of the head with a 2x4, and we want to make it right. If you're not happy, right, you come on in, no questions asked. I will make it right. And it's really cool. We actually had a number of people reach out to us and say, your credibility with us has skyrocketed. Thank you. So, we didn't try to hide it. How do you hide that? You can't. Yeah, John.
And you owned it instead of saying, well, it's their fault.
Yeah.
We didn't do it. It's their fault.
Yeah.
How many times you've heard people say that? And what's that do? Their credibility in my book, and most people in our listeners' books, I can just tell you, it just goes down, right?
Yeah.
But if you own it, even though you did everything you could, but you still owned it because you understood you're the leader, you're the responsible person.
Yep. Yeah, extreme ownership. Exactly.
Yep. Buck stops here, Harry Truman.
Yep. Yeah. In my case, the penny.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't make bucks now. I'm just counting my pennies.
Oh, come on, man. You're up to a nickel. You know that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're talking about seeing the opportunity inside of the crisis. Well, I want to shift this a little bit to the opportunity that's just the opportunity. Matthew, can we talk Lemon Lodge, please?
Yes, we can. Before that, can I share one more thing with you?
Oh, anything.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, this is our new release, Jolly Camper.
Okay, well then I got to ask my other question I had ready, which was, why did you tell me on the last show that the flavor that you wanted to make but you couldn't do, you're now making watermelon?
Yeah. There was a shortage in watermelon. I couldn't get it. Yeah, last summer I couldn't get it. It was crazy. And so then my supplier, I think between Christmas and New Year's, said, hey, I've got a whole bunch of this stock, and it's by the way, it's 20% off. Do you want it? And I said, send me the pallet. Absolutely. Yep. So we just got done with our first pouching session. So this is a watermelon lemon. It tastes like a Jolly Rancher candy. Oh my goodness. It's so good.
By the way, folks, I will validate that because Miss Suzanne and I had a bag stocked away from a little special edition that we got. And I'll just say we polished it off Saturday night. So
nice. Well, good. Good. Yeah.
Well, then, Matthew, on Jolly Camper, then I want to know, because if I remember right, you were talking some of how anyone who has made a smoothie has probably experienced the same thing, that watermelon per volume and per watermelon, the amount of flavor you're getting out is not as much as some other fruits. I think that's what we talked about last time. How did you solve that problem, or was it just a volume thing? Or talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I kind of like with lemons, I'm not in the lemon pressing or the lemon squeezing business. I'm not in the watermelon squeezing business. So I basically do like a nationwide search, and I'll usually do R&D, and I'll order maybe 20, 30, 40 different flavorings from every manufacturer I can get. I spend hundreds on it, and mix it up and kind of test it with my family. We've got a very large family that likes to drink my wines.
That's why y'all have so many kids.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. There are our crash test dummies. So yeah. So, I had actually, it's funny, Camden, I found this in 2018. I thought we were going to come out with a watermelon. And for whatever reason, the sourcing kind of dried up, but then it came back. Same manufacturer. And quality is consistent now, and it just produces the perfect, watermelon tart flavor I need. And it's 100% juice, so I let them squeeze it.
Love it. Well, then let's go ahead and shift into
Yeah.
the next big piece that we've been waiting all show to talk about, which is the Lemon Lodge. I just want to throw that over to you, Matthew. You go ahead.
Yeah, Lemon Lodge. So this is, let me get that. Yeah, Lemon Lodge, baby. So my wife and I, last summer, we were on our anniversary trip, just having dinner downtown Colorado Springs and wondering, what would it look like to open a wine bar? Like if we opened an Evergood wine bar, like would that work? Huh. And so we brought the idea back to our kids, who are now, teenagers and adults, and they're like, wine bar, snooze fest, boring. And then our
Dad, you're
18-year-old,
such an old guy.
totally. I know you see all the gray. Our 18-year-old's like, wait, what if you made it experiential? Like, oh, what do you mean? He goes, what if you got an Olympic caliber ski simulator and put that in there and combined that with like your wine cocktails and you made it look like an authentic ski lodge? We're like, oh, ooh, talk more, share more, right? So long story short, we had an opportunity to trial this simulator. My son and I and my daughter went to a private one up in Denver. We did it, and we're like, this is the real deal. And then we come to find out the U.S. ski team has 4 of these in Park City, and they endorse them. And there's videos all over the internet of all the names we know, Michaela Schifrin, Lindsey Vonn, you name them right down the list. This is what they use when they're not on the slopes. And so we bought one, almost twice as much as my first house. And we got a sweet spot in downtown Colorado Springs, the old Josh and John's ice cream store there. But again, remember, crawl, walk, run. So we just got about 2,100 square feet. We just got one ski simulator. And, we're building our bar out. We're going to have lodge food, which is going to be great. Oh my gosh, we've got so many fun different foods we're going to do, some grilled cheeses, some macaroni and cheeses with bacon jam. Oh, I love bacon jam. It's so good.
Dang, is it lunchtime yet?
Big pretzels with beer cheese, thirsty foods, right? Mm-hmm, yeah, get them to drink. And then the ski simulator. So, so that's Lemon Lodge Ski Bar. Just go to lemonlodge.com to learn more. So we've already had 3 rounds of interviews for employees. They're coming out of the woodwork. So getting ready to make an offer to our GM here in the next week to manage it for us. So, man, it's crazy. Yeah, it's just come so fast.
That's awesome. And I can't wait to check it out and try it out too. Because I'm going to guess if I fall down while on that, it's not going to hurt nearly as bad as when I'm going down the slope.
Here's the thing, Otis, you don't fall down. Yeah, you're locked in. You're locked into a rail system. You can either do skiing or snowboarding. You're locked into it. You are protected on all sides, and so all you have to do is just move side to side, and you learn to trust your edges. And we have professional ski instructors, that actually instruct you when doing that.
That's going to be a blast. I'm really thinking now. So it's one thing to do, and again, I'm going to go back to where you're sitting, folks. The only people that are in the winery with them are cardboard. So that's a much different environment than what you're stepping into with the Lemon Lodge, which is, oh my God, there's people everywhere. And in order for it to work, we got to have more people everywhere, not just the people working on your team, but strangers coming in.
Stranger danger.
That's right. How are you gonna, how are you adjusting to that image going forward call it what I'll call it out as almost stepping into a public image sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, in terms of people, we do wine festivals with Evergood. The largest one is Palisade out on the western slope of Colorado, and there are about 6,000 people that come to that. And literally for 6 to 8 hours, we have standing room only around our tent. So, our job is to make your experience wonderful with our wines, and then, hopefully to get you to buy. So we have to learn how to sell. So being in massive, large crowds is nothing new to our Evergood team. Yes, it is a little different, because we're going to be retail. Most of what we do now is wholesale. So, let's go back. I immediately realized that this was a gap of mine. While I was a waiter in college and waited tables, I'd never managed in restaurants. Fortunately, my brother-in-law is second generation restaurateur. And so I've been around him. My wife and I have been married 33 years. Longer than that, my brother-in-law, Steve Schuster, in Ohio, has either owned or worked for a restaurant. And his latest venture is highly successful. And he has been nothing but just a super advocate and a super helpful, just helping us understand that world. And I think as we get older, we realize we don't know what we don't know. And the way we learn is we got to ask questions, right? Ego's out the door. I just say, look, I just don't know, and this may be a really stupid question, but I just don't know. So I need help with this, this, and this. And he's just been absolutely wonderful. And then we've got a local food rep, who owned some restaurants, who has just been a wealth of information. So yeah, it is. It's going to be a whole different change, Otis, right? Because we need people in the door to make money.
Yeah.
Yep.
This isn't the passive put a bottle on a shelf and run out the door before anybody sees you and talks to you, right? This is, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. This is a whole nother world. It's going to be fun, man. Talk about a challenge, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and what's great is, so this is since 2017. This will be our third our third entrepreneurial startup, if you will. And all the statistics say that your third, fourth, and fifth are even more highly successful because you can take all the learnings from the previous. The second one being our Palmer Lake Wine Festival that we started from scratch. So.
One thing that this is going to be, this is a deep cut if you're not from the Colorado Springs area and if you hadn't spent that time there. But you're taking over the Josh and John's building. So what kind of special deals are you going to have for when it's snowing? Because I used to give out that free ice cream when it's snowing. You're doing free skier pee when it's snowing. You're going to flip that around, free ski lesson when it's sunny, when it breaks 95 or something. Come on, you got to have some ideas there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I will let you in on something really fun we've got. So, when you watch Olympic skiing downhill or slalom or whatever, people are always ringing those cowbells, right? Because when you really can't clap with mittens, it sounds like this, so they kind of go, they're ringing them, right? So we're going to have cowbells on every table. And then every person that skis on the simulator will get a souvenir cowbell that says, I earned my cowbell. And so, just something really fun there, right? We're going to have great music going on. Okay, I'll let you guys in on this too as well. There may be a chance that we may have some Olympians coming to some of our events to show off their wonderful skills and their wonderful faces and provide, autograph sessions. I'm just saying. Yeah.
That's cool.
I got to throw out this idea. Just popped in. So maybe you get some ice cream.
Yeah.
You got to make skier pee floats or something.
Oh,
there's got to be something there.
Bunny floats. Yeah.
See, this is why you're the pro.
Yeah. We are going to have the slush bunny, right? Which is like almost like a Mr. Misty, but an adult Mr. Misty. The shaved ice, a little vodka, a little snow bunny, which is our strawberry lemon. Yep. You got it. Yeah. We thought about ice cream, but seriously, when you go skiing, is that the first thing you want when you get off the slopes? No. Yeah, you're freezing. You want something warm. You want something hearty.
I want heart warmer when I get off the slopes.
Oh yeah. Well, here's something fun too.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna be having beers from different ski towns outside of Colorado, so all around the U.S. So we've already sourced them.
Oh wow.
Yep. So we're gonna have probably the most unique offering of bottled beers in Colorado Springs because you can't get them here, right? They're coming in from all the other different ski resorts.
That's so cool.
That's great.
Man, it's going to be fun. I've got another business question that's popped into my mind, and this is the advantage of knowing you so well.
Yeah.
Brand changing. Y'all went through a bit of that. It was Evergood Elixirs. Now it's Evergood Adventure Wine.
Yeah.
Why and how did you make that choice? Because a lot of businesses, my business included, y'all see the hat, Tribe and Purpose, used to be LTO. How did you make that decision and pivot again?
Yeah. Well, two reasons. People didn't know how to spell elixirs.
You taught me how to spell elixirs, I will say.
Yeah, literally, I had to buy every.
Never would have seen that one coming.
I had to buy every misspelling of elixir in GoDaddy, and just forward it to the right one. Yeah, that's the first one, and then second one, people don't know what an elixir is. Especially in Colorado, they're like, "Is that like some sort of CBD tincture, or what's going on with that?" Right? And I'm like, "Oh, good grief, really?" So, we wanted to make it more accessible to people. And since we launched in 2018, we called ourselves Adventure Wines, primarily because of, we've got a skier on a mountain here. Like all of our labels, or at least our core, have some sort of adventure on them. And so, Evergood Adventure Wines, we couldn't use Evergood. Part of what we have to do is we have to do a common law search and then a patent law search, or a patent search for names and trademarks. Evergood was already taken. It's the name of a food company. So, but Evergood Adventure Wines was one that we could grab. And what's interesting, Otis, is I'm actually in the process of changing our emails to evergood.wine. So I think we're going to even make Evergood Adventure Wines. That'll still be the DBA, but I wanted to make. I want people to find us easily. I want to make it easy for you.
Yeah.
No, that's great, and it just makes me think of how important that is to not just think what you think is right, but to listen to everybody else, and also step out of the high and mighty and look back at what's going on in the company,
Sure.
which also leads me to what I learned, I wouldn't say I learned it, but it's a great reemphasis because I need that reemphasis all the time, that I don't know it all, so I should ask questions. And folks, you'd be amazed when you ask questions how much you can find out and who you might get introduced to that might be that guy, that dude that works in the food plant that knows how to increase the pH of a liquid so that it sits in a can okay. But you got to ask the question and not sit there and pound your head and say, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. Don't be afraid to ask the question. So, speaking of questions, Camden, what'd you learn?
Great segue, Dad. No, for me, it's just a real simple one of just the system of scoot, crawl, walk, run. I love that. That's a great way of visualizing. We talk so much about getting caught with the shiny object and those new ideas and those things. So I love that system for that development there.
Matthew, how about you? What'd you learn?
Well, I mean, I always learn something, when I'm with you guys, but because you guys ask really good questions, right? And you guys are able to kind of pull those out. For me, something you just touched on, Otis, was the importance of not living in our heads, but opening it up wider to what the audience, what's going to impact the audience, right? Whatever our target market is, right? We have an idea, right? And we marry it but going out there and then asking the audience, what do you think about this, and getting their input, I think is really, really important.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I know you'll continue to do that because the Lemon Lodge is going to be, it's going to be an anchor point in downtown Colorado Springs. I just know
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, yeah. How do folks find you, follow you? What's the events you got coming up? Maybe the opening day of Lemon Lodge?
Yeah. Well, you can find us at lemonlodge.com. On social, it's Lemon Lodge Ski Bar. You can go to evergood.wine to learn about our wines. Super simple there. And we do ship to 41 states.
Yes.
So jump on there, hit our buy online, and we'll be happy to send you out some skier pee. In terms of events, let me just share one thing with you. So April 1st, we're going to be having an event here at the winery where we are going to be releasing Jolly Camper. And April 1st at our winery will be the first and only place you can get it before we start distribution. So that's going to be from 11 to 3. Cost is $5, but we give 100% of that back to Tri-Lakes Cares, one of our community partners that helps people in need. In terms of Lemon Lodge, oh gosh, Otis, I wish I could give you a date and a time. It is so painful to have to work with all of these different city organizations and departments. This is going to sound crude, man, but it's like dogs peeing on a fire hydrant. Like everybody wants to sniff it and pee on it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can we move forward? So we're getting there. It's just, it's slogging through, muck, in the fog. We were hoping to open February 1st. The good news is our ski simulator is in Denver and should be shipped in the next week. So as soon as we get that and we get the approval, we're going to open it up and start letting people use it. Just hop on lemonlodge.com or our social, and we'll let you guys know. Our marketing team does a great job of posting updates.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Like I said, man, I'm excited. I can't wait. That may be the only way we get Miss Suzanne to ski, because she won't have to go up a lift.
Yeah.
So
she can wear her T-shirt and shorts. It's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Love it. Well, hey, Matthew, we really appreciate you carving out some time to spend with us today, and it's great to see and great to hear about all the success y'all are having.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Otis, Camden, always a pleasure. Love you guys, and really appreciate your support.
Awesome. Camden, run us out.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to the Cam Otis Show, and a special thanks to our guest, Matthew Hexter, for joining us today. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to pass along to someone else so they can enjoy it too. Make sure to follow the Cam Otis Show on Facebook and Instagram, and you can watch full videos of the show on our YouTube page. And while you're there, you make sure you hit that subscribe button too. As always, the full archive of our episodes is available at www.camandotisshow.com. Thanks again, and we'll see y'all next time.